Welcome back to World Traveler Cooking, the show where we cover interesting cuisines and interesting foods from around the world. Now, November 14th is Ostkaksdag in Sweden. I probably slightly mispronounced that, but hopefully not too badly. That means Cheesecake Day, and typically we're talking about Småländsk Ostkaka, or Småländ style cheesecake. Now, what makes this dish interesting is that traditionally we start with milk and rennet. So we actually make the cheese for the cheesecake. It's also interesting because most other cheesecakes are made with acid-set cheeses like ricotta or farmer's cheese or cream cheese, while this one is a rennet-set cheese. So we'll see how that goes. I expect it to be good, but we'll see. It looks like I forgot to bring the wheat flour out on this also. So I have one or two ingredients that aren't listed here. I'll go over them as well. I have 6 liters of milk, a tablespoon of rennet, 4 eggs. Normally this would be made by adding 5 bitter almonds into the almond mixture here. But since bitter almonds are a little hard to get, I'm using a little bit of almond extract instead. And I'll mix this with the curd later than I would the almonds. We have 80 grams of sugar, 300 milliliters of whipping cream, and some wheat flour that I forgot to measure out, but I will add that and go over it as we go. So our first step is to coagulate the milk. So let's go ahead and get started. So our first step is to warm the milk until it's finger warm. So I'm heating up the 6 liters of milk. It'll be a little bit of time, and then we'll add 60 grams of wheat flour. That's about 100 milliliters, a little under half a cup, and we will add a rennet. So the milk is now just about body temperature, which is where I want it. So we're going to add a tablespoon of rennet, which looks like it's pretty much what I have here. So I'm going to stir that all in. We're going to whisk that in along with this 60 grams of flour. So we don't quite have a clean break. I mean, it's pretty clean when you look at a spoon, but if I use my finger, it just kind of goes through. I suspect this is due to the addition of the flour. So I'm just going to, at this point, stir it so that the curds can start to separate. So next, we will scoop the curd into a fine sieve. And from there, I'll let it sit in the colander for another 15 minutes. So by now, I have blanched and peeled my almonds. I'm going to add my sugar here. And I'm going to start grinding these in here. This will take a little while, so I'll be back when I'm done with that. So into the almonds and sugar, I'm going to add my almond extract. Stir that up. This will be nice. And go the eggs. And 300 milliliters or so of cream. We're going to whisk this up a little bit. And then we will add our curd. So I could just continue to use a teaspoon here. That'll probably work just fine. The curd should now be pretty stable. And I'm going to use a whisk on this because otherwise it's just going to be a problem. So I'm going to go ahead and whisk this all in. We don't want there to be a lot of whey left because that will just mess with the consistency. And so if it's still dripping, feel free to squeeze a little bit more whey out of it. So this filled the 20 centimeter or 8-inch pan extremely full. Maybe you'd want a slightly larger one than that. Anyway, this will go in the oven now for an hour and we'll be back. So this took a bit more than an hour, but it also kind of mushroomed out above the tin and spilled a little bit, so I'm going to have a little cleaning up to do. Oh well, next time I will split this into 2 tins. We're going to let this cool a bit, and then we'll come back for a taste test. And now for the taste test. So normally this would be eaten with whipped cream and jam. I'm just going to imagine that part, because I'm a little full already because I just ate a big lunch. This is really interesting, quite delicious. But if you're thinking cheesecake, it's not like any cheesecake I've ever had. Has a fair bit of texture from the almonds. And the cheese actually gives it a little bit of a chewiness too, because this is a rennet-based cheese, and because as you heat it, the curd contracts and it expels more whey. And so you have these little chewy, squeaky pieces inside. It's actually very nice. The flavors are sweet with a hint of almond, as you kind of expect. Yeah, this is very nice. I think with whipping cream and jam it would be even better. But I'll just have to try that later. Now, if you find this content interesting, please like, share, and subscribe. If you have anything to say about this video, please let me know in the comments. Recipes in the description. Bon appetit, and see you next week.